Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into something I find pretty fascinating. It's complementary medicine and how it tackles infertility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we've got these excerpts from a longer piece,
Right.
and it really delves into this kind of like blend of,
Yep.
ancient practices
Uh,
and modern science,
hmm
and offers a pretty unique perspective on a topic that can often feel kind of mysterious.
Absolutely.
What really got me, though, is this idea of treating the root cause,
hmm
not just the symptoms.
Right.
So I'm curious to hear more about that in the context of infertility.
Yeah, that's a really important point, and I think it's important to note we're primarily talking about traditional Chinese medicine here.
Okay.
The big difference is that instead of just managing the signs of infertility,
hmm
complementary medicine tries to understand the underlying imbalances that might be contributing to it.
So it's less about treating the problem directly
Yeah.
and more about understanding the whole person.
Exactly, and that applies to both the psychological and the physiological aspects of infertility.
Okay.
We'll be looking at those, and we'll even touch on some really interesting research
Okay.
that's starting to validate these ancient techniques.
Okay, so right off the bat, one of the things that really struck me was the contrast between complementary medicine and Western medicine.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're coming from completely different worlds.
Mm.
Western medicine seems to focus on the disease
Yeah.
as this like isolated thing to be fought.
Mm-hmm.
But complementary medicine's looking at the whole person,
Yeah.
lifestyle, emotions, even their spirit.
You've hit on a key point there.
Yeah.
It's not about one approach being right or wrong. It's about recognizing that they both bring something valuable to the table.
Right.
And with something as complex as infertility, where physical, emotional, and even environmental factors are all
Yeah.
intertwined, that broader perspective can be really helpful.
Yeah, it's like Western medicine is a specialist zeroing in on a specific problem, while complementary medicine is the general practitioner considering the whole system.
That's a great analogy. And that's where the tools of complementary medicine, like the 4 examinations, come in. They might seem simple on the surface,
Ah.
observing, listening, smelling, questioning, and palpating.
Right.
But they offer a surprising amount of information.
Yeah, I was reading about how each of those examinations can reveal these subtle clues
Mm-hmm.
about a patient's overall health
Right.
and kind of help pinpoint those root causes we were talking about.
Exactly.
There was even an example of how modern technology, for all of its advancements,
Yeah.
can sometimes lead to less patient observation
Right.
and potentially even miss a diagnosis.
That's right. You might have all the latest technology, but sometimes a simple observation,
Right.
like noticing a slight tremor in someone's hands or a change in their skin tone, can reveal an underlying issue that a blood test might miss.
Wow.
It's like a detective noticing a seemingly insignificant detail at a crime scene that ends up cracking the case wide open.
So it sounds like the skill and experience of the practitioner play a huge role in complementary medicine.
Absolutely. They're trained to pick up on those subtle cues that a machine might overlook,
Yeah.
like the tone of voice, the way someone walks, even their scent.
Wow.
It's an art as much as a science.
Speaking of things that might surprise you, I was floored to learn that just a few decades ago, back in the 1960s, infertility was often blamed primarily on psychological issues.
Right?
Can you believe that?
It just goes to show how much our understanding of infertility has evolved.
Yeah.
Of course, modern science has debunked the myth that infertility is purely psychological,
Right.
but it has confirmed a strong link between stress
Mm.
and reproductive function.
So it's not all in our heads,
Right.
but the mind-body connection is definitely a factor.
Definitely. For example, there's research from Harvard showing how stress can disrupt the delicate balance of hormones that control ovulation and menstruation.
So stress can actually throw those hormones out of whack.
It can. You see a similar effect with athletes who train so intensely that they stop having their periods.
Right.
It's called runner's amenorrhea.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a marathon runner,
Right.
it shows just how much stress can impact those systems.
Wow, that whole field of psychoneuroimmunology.
Yeah.
The idea that your thoughts and feelings can actually impact your cells,
Right.
including the ones involved in reproduction. It's mind-boggling.
Right. And we're learning more and more about how that works.
Yeah.
We know that neuropeptides, which are molecules produced by the brain in response to our emotions, can interact with the entire body, including the immune system.
So our emotions can actually trigger physical changes?
Absolutely. There was even a study done on prisoners awaiting execution where the extreme stress they were under led to a complete stop in sperm production.
Wow. I mean, that's a pretty extreme example.
Right.
But it definitely underscores how deeply stress can affect our biology, right?
Exactly. It highlights the power of the mind-body connection and the importance of addressing stress in any approach to fertility treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the mind-body connection and the role of stress in fertility.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about some of the specific treatment options that complementary medicine offers.
Right.
The source material mentioned acupuncture and herbal medicine
Okay.
as two key modalities.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about how they work?
Sure. Let's start with acupuncture.
Okay.
One of the ways it's believed to help with infertility is by promoting relaxation and reducing stress.
Okay.
By inserting these fine needles into specific points on the body,
Right.
acupuncture can stimulate the release of endorphins,
Mm.
those feel-good chemicals that naturally counteract stress.
Okay.
And this, in turn, can help to balance hormones and improve the chances of conception.
So it's not just about needles. It's about tapping into the body's own stress-reducing mechanisms.
Exactly. And there's some interesting research to back this up. For example, one study found that acupuncture can actually increase the success rates of in vitro fertilization, IVF.
That's impressive. I also read about these specific acupuncture points called zigongzu points,
Right.
which are believed to enhance blood flow to the uterus.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little more about those?
Sure. In traditional Chinese medicine, these points are located along these specific energy pathways or meridians
Okay.
that are believed to connect different parts of the body.
Okay.
By stimulating these points, acupuncturists aim to improve circulation and energy flow to the reproductive organs, which is essential for fertility.
So it's almost like giving the uterus a little boost of energy.
That's a good way to think about it.
Now let's talk about herbal medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I know that some people might be hesitant about it,
Right.
especially if they're used to conventional medicine.
Yeah.
What would you say to those who were skeptical?
I understand the skepticism, and it's important to approach herbal medicine with caution.
Mm.
It's not about just grabbing any herb off the shelf and hoping for the best.
Right.
It's about working with a qualified and experienced herbalist who can create a personalized formula
Right.
based on your individual needs and constitution.
So it's not like taking an over-the-counter medication
Yeah.
where everyone gets the same thing?
Not at all. Herbal medicine is highly individualized. The herbalist takes into account a wide range of factors, including your symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
your medical history, and even your emotional state.
Okay.
It's like a chef creating a unique dish based on the specific ingredients and flavors that will best complement each other.
That's a great analogy. But the source material also stresses the importance of not self-medicating with herbs, right?
Right.
They even gave the example of ma huang, which can be safe when prescribed by a practitioner, but has led to some pretty serious problems when people tried to use it on their own.
Absolutely. Herbs are potent, and they can have powerful effects on the body.
Right.
It's essential to work with a qualified practitioner who understands the proper dosages, potential interactions, and any contraindications.
So we've touched on acupuncture and herbal medicine.
Mm-hmm.
The source material also mentions a complementary medicine diagnosis called liver key stagnation,
Right.
which seems to be linked to emotions like anger, frustration, and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Can you unpack that for us?
Sure. In traditional Chinese medicine, the liver is associated with the smooth flow of energy or qi throughout the body.
Okay.
When we experience these strong emotions like anger or frustration,
Mm-hmm.
it can disrupt this flow and lead to what's called liver qi stagnation.
So it's like a traffic jam in the body's energy system.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this stagnation can manifest in a variety of ways, including physical symptoms like headaches,
Mm-hmm.
digestive problems, and menstrual irregularities,
Okay.
as well as emotional symptoms like irritability and mood swings.
And how does liver key stagnation relate to infertility?
Well, in traditional Chinese medicine, the liver is also closely connected to the reproductive system. When liver qi is flowing smoothly, it supports healthy hormonal balance and reproductive function.
Right.
However, when there's stagnation, it can disrupt this balance and potentially contribute to infertility.
So it's not just about the stress of trying to conceive,
Right.
but also these underlying emotional patterns that could be affecting things.
Exactly. And this highlights the importance of addressing those emotional components as part of a holistic approach to fertility treatment.
Speaking of holistic approaches, The source material seems to advocate for integrating both Western and complementary medicine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a really important point. We're not talking about replacing conventional medicine with complementary medicine,
Right.
but rather seeing how they can work together to offer the most comprehensive and individualized care.
So it's about having a diverse toolbox, using the right tools for the right job.
Precisely. Sometimes you might need a hammer and sometimes you might need a screwdriver. The same applies to healthcare. Having access to multiple approaches allows us to tailor the treatment to the individual's specific needs.
It's like you wouldn't expect a mechanic to fix every problem with just a wrench. They need a whole set of tools.
Right, and that's where the beauty of integration lies.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the strengths of each approach and finding ways to combine them for optimal outcomes.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the potential of complementary medicine. It's fascinating to see how ancient wisdom and modern science are starting to intersect.
I agree. And while more research is needed to fully understand the mechanisms at play,
Right.
the clinical evidence for acupuncture and herbal medicine in treating infertility is growing. It's about being open-minded and exploring all the options available.
And I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners.
Yeah.
Even if you're not personally struggling with infertility, this deep dive hopefully gives you a new perspective on the importance of looking at the whole person and considering different approaches to health and well-being.
Yeah, it feels like we're finally starting to see the bigger picture, how our physical and emotional and even spiritual well-being are all connected.
Absolutely.
It's pretty exciting.
It is. And it's interesting how things are coming full circle.
Yeah.
We started by talking about how complementary medicine focuses on the whole person, not just the disease.
Right.
And now even Western medicine is starting to acknowledge those connections. The gut-brain axis, the influence of stress on the immune system.
Right.
These ideas are gaining more traction in conventional medicine, too.
It's like we're rediscovering these ancient truths through the lens of modern science.
Exactly. And that's where I think complementary medicine has such a unique role to play.
Yeah.
It provides a framework for understanding how our thoughts, our emotions, our lifestyle choices, and even our environment can all impact our health.
Right.
Including our reproductive health. So, after this deep dive, how do you feel about the potential of complementary medicine to address infertility? Could exploring that mind-body connection be a key piece of the puzzle for some people?
I think it absolutely could. And it's not about dismissing conventional medicine,
Right.
but rather about empowering individuals to take an active role in their own healing journey, to understand not just what their condition is,
Right.
but why they might be experiencing it and how different factors might be contributing to it.
It's about reclaiming that sense of agency, being an active participant in your own health,
Exactly.
rather than just a passive recipient of treatment.
Exactly. And that's a big part of what makes complementary medicine so appealing to many people. It offers a sense of hope, a belief that healing is possible, even in cases where conventional medicine might not have all the answers.
That sense of hope can be so powerful, especially when dealing with something as personal and emotionally challenging as infertility.
Absolutely. It can be the driving force that helps people keep going, to navigate the ups and downs of their journey.
There's that saying, hope is not the belief that everything will be fine, but the belief that everything has meaning,
Yes.
even if we don't understand it yet.
I love that. And I think it's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even when facing difficult challenges, there's always something to learn, something to grow from,
Right.
and always something to hope for.
To all our listeners out there on their own fertility journeys, whatever they may look like,
Yeah.
we want to say this: keep learning, keep exploring, and keep believing.
Absolutely.
You are not alone. And even if infertility isn't something you're personally facing, we hope this deep dive sparked your curiosity about the potential of complementary medicine. It's a world of ancient wisdom combined with modern insights, and we encourage you to keep exploring it. We've got the website and phone number from the source material in the episode notes if you want to learn more. Until next time, keep diving deep.